Hey everyone, it's Wolfgang. This video is about hot careers in artificial intelligence. Pretty popular topic these days. I'm going to explain a couple of things that people have not really been thinking about in terms of AI opportunities and a way to reposition yourself and to think in a new way and to stop being so concerned if you're worried that AI is going to take your job. So stay tuned. But I want to discuss a few different careers in AI that AI is actually helping, or that you can use AI to get a leg up with. Starting with tech startup companies. So I've been involved in a lot of startups. There's often a need to pivot, start an initial project. You get so far, and the team decides we need to change to something that's has more demand, that has more potential customers. Pivoting is very difficult. A lot of the startups I've been in, early founders quit when there's a pivot. They become, passionately sort of in love with the original idea, and they find it hard to walk away from it. And if it becomes clear that it's not a practical idea, if there's not enough customers, they get disillusioned and they quit. So pivoting is not easy. When you have a startup idea and there's rapid churn, ideas changing frequently, a lot of people just don't have what it takes to keep going. Probably because the idea of having a secure, steady, full-time job is more important at that point than a startup dream, okay? With artificial intelligence, the churn, the need to pivot to a new idea, it's much more intense now. And the reason is artificial intelligence is being improved nonstop. Every few months or so, changes are made, new capabilities are made possible with artificial intelligence that need to be incorporated into any idea you're working on, or you will get left behind by other people who will incorporate the new changes. So the churn in an initial idea that you had for a startup, if it's an AI, if it's affected by artificial intelligence, the churn is going to be much higher. The need to pivot and to adapt and to go into any project you're involved in with an open mind and flexibility to say, we may get 6 months down the road, we might actually get some traction with some customers and then be blown out of the water by the next iteration of artificial intelligence that will have capabilities that make what we were working on no longer viable to earn, to get paid for. So initial traction, when you start a new project, a startup company is a new project by definition. You might get initial traction. You might work on something for 6 months to a year. You start making sales. And then in the AI world, you can get blown out of the water by new capabilities that the latest version of artificial intelligence makes possible. So knowing this in advance, knowing this churn, it's much higher with artificial intelligence because it's constantly being improved. And the flexibility to pivot quickly without complaining about, our first idea was so good and we should stick with it regardless. The flexibility to abandon those sorts of the fixation on the initial idea. If you have that ability, that's valuable. It's much more valuable now to be able to tolerate pivoting because artificial intelligence is improving constantly. And the startups I've been involved in before artificial intelligence became so powerful, there are a lot of people out there who get involved in startups and they do not like pivoting. They become fixated on the initial idea, especially after a few months of work has been put in, and it becomes very difficult for some people to pivot. And I'm telling you that with artificial intelligence, if you have the ability to go into a project open-minded saying, I'm going to be flexible, we could be out of business with this idea, even though we get traction, we could be out of business pretty quickly. So here's how to position yourself and how to think about new projects and to survive in the new situation because of artificial intelligence. The largest large language models to track and to pivot ideas to, okay? You need to start paying attention to capabilities as they're announced. In other words, you create a spreadsheet and you update that regularly as new capabilities are announced with the large language models. OpenAI, with GPT, the GPT models, Google Gemini and Google Gemma, which is open source, Anthropic, Claude, Llama by Meta, Grok by X.com, Mistral AI, that's out of France. These are the big ones. AI 21, Jurassic, Cohere. Make a spreadsheet and religiously update the spreadsheet with new capabilities look at your startup idea and see if it's affected. If it is, you must integrate the new changes and new capabilities because everyone else will, and you're competing. Startups, you're competing with other people who are also trying to make a killer startup. So one thing to keep in mind about a startup and going public, you may not go public, you may not have an IPO, you may be acquired or rolled into another startup doing something similar. Elon Musk's first company, the big one, PayPal, that was a combination of something he was working on and a project that other people were working on, like Richard Thiel and others. So it's not uncommon at all that you don't see an IPO with your initial idea. Maybe you get bought out, you get merged with another company. But going into a startup project with the idea that we're going to be put out of business in 6 months because new capabilities will be introduced into AI, knowing that and being able to roll in those updates will make you more valuable. It toughens you up because you don't get fixated on your initial idea and you don't get so disappointed when, 6 months, 9 months down the road, even after you got some traction, AI introduces capabilities that render your startup, not as practical, not as sellable to people who would pay for it. So you need to track the biggest AI LLMs and watch their updates and see how it affects your startup. Okay, so that's the startup world. So a hot career in artificial intelligence is definitely in the startup world because it's changing. That means there's growth, a lot of opportunity. Startups is a great opportunity if you have the right attitude. You've got to change your attitude if you don't like pivoting. You've got to stop being fixated on your initial idea and become flexible. Okay, the staffing industry is also hot right now, kind of for the same reason. Placing artificial intelligence skilled people is still pretty new. OpenAI GPT has not been around but for 3 years or so, right? So when that came out, that kind of started the clock ticking as to how quickly existing staff could upgrade their skills or transition into AI work, because that's what you have to do. You have to have the willingness to transition into AI. You have to look at your current work and say, I've done all this by hand, or I've done this by myself, all this work. You now have to look at this like, how can I replace the work that I did with the right AI tool, the right AI approach? The transition is you're no longer going to be doing the work. You're going to be identifying the best AI tool to do the work that you used to do by hand. Placing artificial intelligence skilled people, the staffing industry, there's going to be a lot of growth there, okay? Because most people have not transitioned. They're still moaning about the fact that all this work I used to do by hand, now it's being done by AI and so I'm out of a job. Not necessarily. You have to identify the new tools. When new tools become available that can do something you used to do and do it better and faster, grab the tools and you set yourself apart. So the people being placed in these jobs have accepted that. They've decided, I'm going to identify the right AI tools to do the work I used to do, and I'm going to reposition myself in my resume as someone who is skilled in AI and knows the right AI tools to use. Right now, there's not enough people who have transitioned this way in AI. People tend to hold on to the skill set they have because it used to be valuable. Until very recently, it was very valuable to have a highly developed skill set in some domain, like marketing or writing software, and it's all changed. You have to transition. 75% of US companies now need artificial intelligence skilled talent. 3/4 of companies out there will hire you if you have transitioned your mindset from, I used to do this by hand myself, to, I know what the best AI tools are to do the same work. 75% of US companies will hire people like that. Data scientists, machine learning engineers, AI ethics people. AI ethics, what is that? Those are employees who make sure that the AI work that's being done does not go outside the boundaries of ethics, legal requirements, moral standards, that kind of thing. AI ethics, because really what you have with artificial intelligence, you sort of have a person. You can think of artificial intelligence, a large language model, as just a super intelligent employee who doesn't really know what the boundaries are. They don't know about the legal boundaries. They don't know about the moral boundaries. And so AI ethics specialists are people who keep AI painting inside the lines, sort of. So AI candidates for jobs have transitioned from, I did this myself, to, I know the best AI tool to use. So, and a lot of people look at this and they say, wait a minute. If I'm replacing myself, with an AI tool, why would a company want to hire me? Because the people, your boss, does not want to be the person who knows the right AI tool to use. They want to hire people who know that. In other words, instead of hiring somebody to write code, they want to hire somebody who knows the right AI tools to use to write the code. And when you're writing software, while it's true that artificial intelligence can write the software for you, you still need a human there making sure it's correct, it's running correct, and to put the pieces together. Because most programs, they can be quite large. They can have a bunch of different components that have to be stitched together. And the more complexity there is in software, the more you need a human to make sure it's being put together correctly. So the transition from I did this myself to I know the best AI tool to use, that's the mind shift. That's the mindset shift that you need to make it. So you can't sit around moaning and groaning. I can't use my resume anymore because I don't have any AI experience. I'm used to doing this all by hand. You've got to transition yourself. You've got to go out there, look at the capabilities of the AI systems, learn which ones can replace you, learn how to use them, and then put out a resume that shows you're an AI-aware candidate who has the knowledge, the skill set in some domain, like writing software, and also knows the right tools to use, the new AI tools to use. Marketing is another example. So a lot of people in marketing have been quite concerned about job loss, and there has been job loss. A lot of this is because of resistance to replacing yourself with an AI tool. A lot of marketing agencies, they look at AI the following way. They say, I used to give 2 or 3 people on a team a client's project to work on, to create content, to do SEO for this client. Marketing agencies, they get clients who need professional marketing for their products. And so a supervisor at a marketing agency will now say, I need to be able to find people who, instead of taking a week or 2 to work on a marketing campaign, can do it in one afternoon. And the only way they can do that is by using AI tools. And they've got to know the right AI tools to use, because there are a lot of competitors right now in the AI space. There's a lot of different opportunities to learn who's making the right tools for what I previously did by hand. So the skill set in marketing, for example, SEO.ai. If you look this up, search engine optimization AI, this is an artificial intelligence applied to search engine optimization, and other tools like that for faster, accurate, effective SEO and marketing content. So you're going to, instead of creating the marketing content yourself, you're going to identify the right tools. This might be one of them. And you're going to learn how to use them effectively, because the people who are operating marketing agencies, instead of waiting 2 weeks for a client's project to be done, they want to see it done in one afternoon. And you're not going to be able to do that if you don't know AI. So you change all of your I did this by hand to I know the right AI tools to use. That's the transition. So the way to think about careers in artificial intelligence is new tools, learn what's available in the new tools, learn how to use them, change your resume to show that you know how to use them. And this would include initially what, when I was starting my career and I needed to pick up a new skill, I would try to find opportunities that wanted my key skill sets, but also had some things in the job description that I wanted to learn. And because I knew the majority of the work, I could often get that position and then pick those things up on the fly during the project. And most of the time, people who hire consultants, they know that. They know consultants will know, like 80% of the work, and consultants are smart, so they'll pick up the other 20% on the job. So you can think of it in that way. Another option is to do some work pro bono. Approach a couple of companies or people or network with some people. Go to some gatherings of people in the area that you work in, your expertise like software or marketing. Get to know some people and offer to do some pro bono work in exchange for a reference. Say, I will do some pro bono work for you. I'm trying to develop skills in AI, artificial intelligence. I'll do the work for free if you're willing to give me a reference if I do a good job for you. So that's another way to make the transition. So software engineering consultants. So this is another, a lot of people are moaning and groaning about, okay, there's no more software jobs. It's not true, okay? I have to tell you, when software engineering started, if you go back in history and look, you'll find that the early IBM mainframes, they were programmed with punched cards. When you wrote a program, you took a card, a small card, and you punched holes in it. And the holes that you punched, that was your program. So instead of typing in software, you would punch holes in a card and put the card into the IBM mainframe. And then assembly language, a way to write software instead of using punch cards, assembly language took over. After assembly language had been around for a while, higher level languages like Pascal, BASIC, Fortran, COBOL, the C language, C++, those higher level languages, they didn't quite eliminate, but if you knew assembly language, if you were an assembly language programmer, all of a sudden the demand for your skill sets dropped significantly. You had to transition, you had to learn the higher level languages because they were faster. And so on. That's the way tech has generally worked. New tools get introduced, learn the new tools, change your resume, do what you have to get some relevant experience, and then you will get hired. You know, if all the assembly language programmers had moaned and groaned and said, I can't get any assembly language programming jobs anymore, I quit, right? You know, that's a defeatist attitude. You have to look at the truth. There are new tools. People don't want to pay you more than they have to. Artificial intelligence does everything much more quickly. You have to acknowledge the fact that companies who will pay you, they don't want to overpay you. Learn the new tools that are faster, and you will be able to find work. So software developers, a lot of this is replacing the coding you used to do by hand with knowing the right AI tool to use. There's a lot of different options for writing software using AI tools right now. You have to learn what they are. You have to learn what the new tools are in the toolbox. You need to be able to pick those up, make a list of the top 5 that are popular right now, learn how to use them, get some experience, even if you have to. Another thing we did is we would start a small company using that new skill set, creating a product that required knowing that skill set. And then we had something to say, to show potential clients, here's something we built using the skill set that you need in your project. That's another way to do it, is to start a small company with the new skill set, to have something tangible you can show to clients, to potential clients or hiring managers to say, I know what I'm doing in this area. I know the right tools to use. You would make a list of the top 5 tools. You'd keep an eye on all these, the larger LLMs to figure out what their capabilities are and stay up to date on them. And with software, the coding you used to do by hand is going to be replaced by the top 1 or 2 of those. Generally, clients or hiring managers, they know what the top tools are. They're going to put out they're going to contact people who are familiar with the best tools to write code. So you need to be able to switch from complaining there are no more software jobs to hiring managers expect me to know the new, faster tools. Because you could spend a month on a piece of code, debugging it, initially writing it, designing it, writing it, and then debugging it. And artificial intelligence could reduce that time from a month down to a day or 2. And that's what companies want. They're not going to overpay people when they know which of the AI tools are best to use for that job, and that's who they're hiring. So, the staffing industry, marketing, software engineering, that just gives you an example. Any job you can think of that you're involved with, that's your particular career, if you can look at the work you used to be responsible for that took X amount of time, if you know for a fact that there are AI options to do that work, you should not rest on your laurels and expect to keep getting work the slow way you used to work. You need to pick up the new tools. So these were just examples. The staffing industry is hot right now because the people who have transitioned to knowing the right AI tools is still relatively small. Marketing is another sore point. A lot of people in marketing, they sort of hate AI because it's reducing the amount of time to do projects down to half a day or a day. But here's the way to look at this. If you're in consulting, if you're used to having 1 or 2 clients at a time, if you know the right AI tools to use, instead of marketing yourself to 1 client at a time or maybe 2 at the most, you could take on 5 clients at a time because you've got an AI tool that's doing the work much more quickly. So you would just market your skills to several different clients, knowing that you can produce for them very quickly because you know the right AI tools to use. So you can't think of it in terms, I'm going to lose all this hourly billing time because the AI tools do what I used to do in a month in a day or 2. You have to look at it in terms of, I'm going to have more clients at the same time, multiple clients. So you have to adapt. No career is perfect or easy. And if you think about it, it creates a challenge, and that makes life interesting. If you overcome challenges in life and you succeed, there's a lot of gratification there. So you shouldn't shy away from it. So I want to end with this. This is kind of a novel perspective on handling the change that AI has made. You can think of artificial intelligence systems as the smartest friend or employee that you've ever had. In other words, personify the AI system and humanize it and say, this is like a friend or an employee I've always wanted who knew everything and never minded if it was, never had a problem with me asking a gazillion questions, was very patient and tolerant. And usually the advice they give is very good, very reliable. And this friend or employee who's very brilliant saves you a lot of time. That's the way to think about artificial intelligence. If you've been worried that it's taking everybody's jobs, you can think of it in terms of you have a friend or an employee who is just brilliant, is willing to answer any question you have at any time, and will never complain that you're bothering them. Their answers are usually very reliable and useful, and they save you a ton of time. So it's much better than complaining that AI is taking your job. So it should be an end of that, because basically what we're facing is a lot of new tools that have become available that will help us get work done more quickly. And there might be job loss. A lot of the job loss is going to be from people who do not want to learn AI because they think it devalues what they know. And unfortunately, AI does devalue anything you took a month doing. If it took you a month to do some project that AI can do in a day, then go with the flow, pick up the new tool, and don't jump off the train just because some new tools have become available. Learn how to use the new tools. And right now in the staffing industry, there's a shortage of people who have made this transition, this mindset transition from, oh, my skills are no longer valued, to my skills are still valued, but they just want me to do them in a day instead of a month, right? So that's the way to think about it, the mindset shift. If you have any questions about this, please post in the comments. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. And I really want to thank everyone for watching. Good luck out there. Have a great day.